It has been 20 years since the adventures of the Four Musketeers. The youthful, swashbuckling energy of their days in Paris has been replaced by something much heavier. The world has grown older, the stakes have grown higher, and the simple jewels of honor have been swallowed up by the messy, violent machinery of statecraft. In Alexandre Dumas's sequel, 20 years after, we find our protagonists no longer as young men chasing glory, but as men shaped by the consequences of their pasts and the crushing weight of their present duties. The story finds France in a state of fracture. The country is being torn apart by the Fronde, a series of civil wars and rebellions against the authority of the Queen Mother and the powerful Cardinal Mazarin. Amidst this chaos, Cardinal Mazarin, the man who pulls the strings of French politics, realizes he needs a specific kind of talent to navigate the brewing storm. He reaches out to D'Artagnan, who is no longer the impulsive young adventurer we met in the first book. He is now a seasoned, disciplined soldier, working to secure his social standing and fulfill his duties to the crown. Mazarin's mission for D'Artagnan is a delicate one, and to complete it, D'Artagnan must find his old companions. The reunion of the four friends is not the joyful celebration one might expect. They are different men now, and the time that has passed has carved new identities into them. Aramis has embraced the life of the clergy, becoming a worldly and highly influential abbé, moving through the corridors of power with the same cunning he once used in his youthful intrigues. Porthos has pursued the path of material success. He is now a wealthy landowner, a man of substance who is obsessed with his social status and his desire to be recognized as a nobleman. Athos, once the most enigmatic of the group, has become Lord de Winter. He lives a quiet, sombre life, serving as the guardian of his ward, Raoul. He is a man of immense dignity, but there is a shadow over him, a sense that he is living a life defined by duty rather than passion. When they finally meet at the Place Royale, the tension is palpable. They are no longer a single unit of brotherhood against the world. They are individuals with competing loyalties and different political views. They nearly come to blows, their old instincts clashing with their new responsibilities. It is only when Athos breaks his own sword that the brotherhood is preserved, a symbolic gesture that suggests their shared history is the only thing keeping them from being destroyed by the changing world. As the plot moves forward, we see that the ghosts of their past have not stayed buried. A new, lethal threat emerges in the form of Mordaunt. He is the son of Milady de Winter, the woman whose death was the central tragedy of their youth. Mordaunt is a man driven by a singular, cold-blooded purpose: vengeance. Working as an agent for Oliver Cromwell during the English Civil War, he seeks to systematically destroy everyone who played a role in his mother's execution. He is a shadow, a ghost of their previous sins, and his arrival signals that the actions of the young musketeers have created a cycle of violence that they cannot simply fight with a sword and a smile. While Mordaunt moves through the shadows, the political landscape of France is erupting into open warfare. The Duc de Beaufort, a high-profile prisoner in the fortress of Vincennes, orchestrates a daring and chaotic escape. This isn't a gentleman's duel, it's a mess of disguises, political maneuvering, and sudden violence. The escape triggers a massive uprising in Paris, led by the coadjutor Gondi, and threatens to topple the entire government. The musketeers find themselves caught in the middle of this whirlwind. They are no longer just reacting to personal vendettas, they are being swept up by the impersonal forces of history. The lines between loyalty to the king, loyalty to the queen, and loyalty to one's friends become blurred. D'Artagnan and Porthos find themselves in a desperate struggle for survival as the state turns against them. In one of the more daring sequences of the book, they manage to turn the tables on their captors, capturing Cardinal Mazarin himself and using him as a human shield to facilitate their own escape from house arrest. It is a moment of brilliant tactical maneuvering, but it highlights how much the nature of conflict has changed. It is no longer about who is the better swordsman, but about who can manipulate the political situation most effectively. As the civil war intensifies, the scale of the conflict grows even larger. The musketeers are drawn into the high-stakes diplomacy of the English and French courts. They witness the tragic execution of King Charles I, an event that serves as a grim reminder of the futility of trying to stop the wheels of fate once they have begun to turn. The romanticism of their youth, the idea that a hero can step in and change the course of history through sheer courage, is shattered by the reality of how power actually works. The story reaches its conclusion as the chaos of the Fronde begins to settle, leaving a trail of wreckage in its wake. The Musketeers survive the uprising and the threat posed by Mordaunt, but they emerge changed. The brotherhood that once felt invincible has been weathered by the realities of adulthood. They eventually part ways to face their individual destinies. Aramis returns to the quiet, albeit politically charged, life of the church. Porthos settles into his life as a titled baron, finally achieving the social standing he craved. Athos retreats into his role as a protector, focused on securing Raoul's inheritance and maintaining the dignity of his house. And D'Artagnan, having proven himself in the crucible of war, is promoted to captain of the Musketeers, preparing for a life of military service in Flanders. It is a bittersweet ending. The era of carefree adventure, of midnight rides and spontaneous duels is over. It has been replaced by the heavy, often compromising, duties of social standing, political obligation, and the management of legacies. When we look at 20 years after, we see a profound shift in how Dumas handles his characters. If the first book was about the excitement of becoming a man, this book is about the consequences of being one. The theme of generational vengeance is perhaps the most striking. Mordaunt represents the idea that the sins of the parents are never truly buried. They simply wait for the next generation to inherit them. The characters find that they cannot escape the ripples caused by their past actions, no matter how much status or wealth they acquire. There is also a significant evolution in the concept of honor. In their youth, honor was something simple and individualistic. It was about a duel, a lady, or a personal grudge. In this sequel, honor is something much more complicated and often much more corrupt. It is tied to the state, to political survival, and to the preservation of family names. The characters are forced to navigate a world where public appearance is a weapon, and where a man's reputation is often a mask for his true intentions. This duality of identity is everywhere. Throughout the novel, characters use disguises: Puritans, workmen, monks, not just to hide, but to navigate a world where information is the most valuable currency. This reflects a shift from romanticism to political realism. The Musketeers are no longer fighting for a cause they can clearly see. They are caught in the gears of a much larger, impersonal machine of international diplomacy and civil war. Ultimately, the book is a meditation on the burden of legacy. We see the transition from men of action to men of position. Porthos wants a title, Athos wants to protect a lineage, D'Artagnan wants to rise through the ranks. They have moved from the periphery of society to its very core, and they find that the centre is a much more dangerous and morally ambiguous place than the outskirts. A brotherhood remains, but it is a different kind of brotherhood. It is no longer a bond of shared adventure, but a bond of shared survival and shared history. They have survived the chaos of the Fronde and the shadow of Mordaunt, but they have lost the lightness of their youth. As they move toward their respective futures, they leave behind the era of the musketeer, replaced by the era of the statesman, the soldier, and the lord. It is a quiet, thoughtful conclusion to a journey that began with a single, daring ride to Paris, reminding us that while we may outrun our enemies, we can never quite outrun the people we used to be.